also the ranking assembly member, Democratic assembly member on the Joint Finance Committee. Thank you for being here today. Governor Evers ran for governor to put the people of our state before politics. He ran because we should be a government for the people, by the people, of the people, not a government where powerful politicians place their own interests above the interests of Wisconsinites. And we Democratic legislators could not agree more. We are here today to support Governor Evers' middle-class tax cut for Wisconsin's hard-working individuals and families. We know that the people of Wisconsin support his plan. That's why they elected him, certainly one of the reasons they elected him as governor. And we are glad to hear that Republicans support another one of Governor Evers' good ideas. But the Republican spending plan is irresponsible. It's an irresponsible, unfunded plan. It's unfortunate that once again we're seeing our Republican colleagues put politics before people, and they're really refusing to work with Governor Evers and Democrats in the legislature to pass Governor Evers' proposal that the people of the state support. This whole discussion about a middle income tax cut really should be happening in the budget, which is the document where we consider funding priorities and spending priorities. But instead, because of the irresponsible actions of my Republican colleagues, we're here today, and we are today rolling out a substitute amendment that contains Governor Evers' tax cut plan for the people of the state of Wisconsin. As I said, we are committed to putting the people first. And we're committed to cutting taxes for Wisconsin's hardworking families without increasing Wisconsin's budget deficit. So the plan that we have today, it's going to be substantially funded. The Republicans are not funding their plan. They are spending money without funding it, and they're taking this obligation into the future. Governor Evers' plan gives a break to hardworking families by rolling back a Republican tax giveaway to millionaires. For example, according to an analysis by the Legislative Fiscal Bureau, one of these massive giveaways will result in 16 individuals who each make at least $30 million and receive a windfall of $36 million right now in the people's money. So this plan that we're putting forth today, that is Governor Evers' plan, rolls back that massive tax cut to millionaires. In fact, almost 80% of this massive tax cut that this plan rolls back will benefit individuals who make over $1 million a year. That's not right. That's not fair. Governor Evers has already indicated that his tax cut for middle-class families will be included in his budget, as I said, and Republicans should work with him and with us in the legislature to pass the governor's tax cut plan. Now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Representative Reamer, to talk more.
Well, thank you, Representative Taylor, and thanks to the press for being here to cover this. Just want to acknowledge my colleagues from the Assembly Ways and Means Committee who are here joining me, Representative Steve Doyle, Representative Todd Onstead, and Representative Kaylin Haywood, our newest member, in addition to the Senate Ways and Means ranking member, Senator Jeff Smith, and of course Representative Evan Goyke, who's here as well from the Joint Finance Committee. Senator Johnson you'll hear from later. I'm here to talk about the details of this proposal, which has just been submitted as a substitute amendment. I know the details of policy are what you're all here to, what gets everybody excited. But just to give an overview of that before handing it over, it begins, as Governor Evers talked about at length and with great emphasis and passion on the campaign trail, which is a 10% tax cut for middle-class families, something that's been so absolutely needed in the wake of Republican tax proposals that have, by and large, benefited the wealthy and the well-connected. The second major pillar of this proposal is a expansion of the state supplement to the Earned Income Tax Credit. The EITC is a refundable tax credit that helps lower income working families by and large by providing them with an additional boost to help them as they climb their way into the middle class. And finally, as Representative Taylor discussed, it modifies the so-called man and ag tax credit. It focuses that credit on small manufacturers so that the credit does not go to the wealthiest folks in our state, but really focuses on those that are creating jobs in our communities, in communities like mine, and all across the state of Wisconsin. It sustains support for agriculture and for farmers across the state of Wisconsin, but again, focuses the credit on small manufacturers and eliminates the parts of the credit which Democrats have been critical of for a long time, mainly that it was by and large going to the wealthiest folks in our state. We feel strongly this plan is not only better for the middle class in that it provides greater relief to hardworking families, people who are trying to join the middle class or just getting by in the middle class, but that it does so in a fiscally sustainable way. As Representative Taylor touched on, the Republican plan spends close to $380 million in the first fiscal year. I think because of the overlap between the tax year and the fiscal year, it gets a little confusing. But the main point to take away from this is that the approximate cost for a fiscal year of the Republican tax plan is about $380 million. You add that up over a biennium, it gets very close to $700 million. That is a major source of investment that would be taken away from fixing Wisconsin's roads, from supporting public education that's needed for children across the state, and for making sure folks have access to affordable health care. Our plan is far more responsible fiscally, we feel, and far stronger at supporting the middle class. And to touch on why middle class tax relief is so important to families across the state, I want to hand it over to Senator Johnson, who's going to talk more about the details in that regard and why that's such an important piece of this proposal. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Senator LaTanya Johnson. I think it's safe to say that everyone in this building believes that the hardworking middle-class individuals and families of this state deserve tax relief. There's no question about that. While the goals on how we might accomplish this might sound similar and even confusing to most everyday people, the methods used on how we get this done matter. The methods matter. Republicans want to use a one-time pot of money that is unreliable and doesn't guarantee that the tax relief given is sustainable. Democrats believe that any support provided should be reliable and sustainable. This requires an ongoing method for paying for this support and won't limit it to a one-time unfunded tax credit. Governor Evers' plan is more than half paid for by the cap on the manufacturing tax credit. The caps to the manufacturing tax credit provides caps for manufacturing firms that make over $300,000 a year. While Republicans are relying solely on the tax surplus, which would only pay for the plan during its first year. Governor Evers' tax plan not only creates a new non-refundable tax credit equal to 10% of the remaining tax liability after all other tax credits have been applied, it also raises the Wisconsin Earned Income Tax Credit, which is a refundable tax credit, from 4% to 11% for individuals with one child, and raises the tax credit from 11% to 14% for individuals with two children. This will allow individuals to get a refund even if they're too poor to have a tax liability. Everyone should pay their fair share, and this is why Governor Evers' plan is so important regarding how we get this done. His plan is a real tax break for our hardworking middle class and working poor families that isn't just a one-time giveaway. but a real plan to ensure these families will continue to have the tax support and deductions they need to both lift themselves out of poverty, but also maintain the middle class status for those who are so desperately trying to hold on to their middle class lifestyle. And now for any questions, I will turn it back over to Representative Chris Taylor.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you all for being here. Can we take, anybody have some questions we can take? Sure.
So if I'm reading this right, there's no, so the manufacturing credit would not be impacted for farmers? Just
That's right.
manufacturers?
That's right. Just manufacturers.
Why that decision?
Well, because we want to make sure we're supporting our small family farms. We want to make sure we're supporting our agricultural communities, and we want to make sure we're supporting our small businesses. And we think the cap is very, very reasonable. It only sets in after $300,000 in income. So we feel like we're being very, very responsible in making sure that we're supporting ag, we're supporting our small manufacturers, and yet we know that middle income people need more money in their pockets.
Chris, the man ag credit only pays for about half of this plan. How are you paying for the rest of it?
Well, we do have projections by the Fiscal Bureau that you have seen in their January 30th memo. So the good news is that, you know, the proceeds that we're using from the man and ag will continue on. We will not continue to have that obligation, and so that is something that I think is much more responsible. We do have some projected growth as well. So what we want to do is apply some of that, obviously, to putting more money in the pockets of middle income people, but we also, and the governor is so committed to investing in communities, to making sure we're funding public education, to making sure we're fixing our transportation mess, our crumbling roads, our crumbling bridges, and to make sure we're making healthcare affordable and accessible. So these are all very important things for middle income people, for low and middle income working people. So the governor is committed to doing both, and we can do both under our plan.
And just to emphasize a maybe point of confusion on that front, this proposal will be included in the governor's budget. As you know, the interactive effects of different pieces of the budget are sometimes things cost something or take something away, but we wanted to work on ideas that we presented to the governor. Hey, these are, you know, expanding the EITC, making significant changes as Representative Taylor has proposed in the past to the tax system. Fortunately, the governor didn't take, you know, as this goes, didn't take exactly what we had, but took a number of our ideas, did indicate he was going to put it into the budget. Sort of the timing of recent things that have come up with Republican tax cut proposals and the way the committees have been rushed forward made us feel that it was time to bring this forward as a standalone idea. Still in a way that does not take nearly as much from GPR as their proposal does.
So what's the price tag on this version?
So that is in our fiscal analysis. It is
Well,
400,
fiscal year 20,
right.
170.2 million. Fiscal year 21, 203.7.
Is there a one-time cost to adjusting tables like in the Republican bill? And what's that?
That looks, well, it's,
No, not that I can see. I mean, a tiny.
the analysis from the
0.3,
budget folks looks
like there's
is listed as interaction of provisions, which might be that. It's 0.3 million. That might incorporate some of that, but I'd have to get back to you on that.
And you can send some of these questions to our office, and we'll make sure that the budget folks can follow up with some details.
Yeah.
So are you opposed to using the budget surplus to pay for a portion of your plan that's unfunded?
Well, we would like to consider a middle income tax cut ideally in the context of a budget, which was what the governor had intended. I mean, that's the discussion we would like to have, because a budget is where you weigh priorities. But what we are saying to you, and what the governor has said repeatedly, is middle income tax relief is a big priority. So is funding public education. So is fixing our crumbling infrastructure. So is making sure health care is accessible and affordable. So we wanted to consider a robust middle income tax cut in that context with those priorities as well. You know, so that's how we think is most appropriate.
So
We
if
got time
they're,
for two more.
so if they're responsible for relying on the surplus solely for theirs, are you half responsible for relying half of your price tag on the surplus?
No, I mean, we are rolling back.
But you're calling them responsible for using surplus money.
But
You're
JR,
also-
I mean, we're doing this outside of the specific budget process to fold it into the debate about what middle class tax relief should look like. We feel more strongly this is the way to go. Again, as you know, it would, if it were part of the budget, which is what we would prefer, interact with other proposals like the expansion of Medicaid, which provides savings, potentially making it sort of revenue picture look a lot different. So,
Yeah, and obviously if you do it in the context of an entire budget, your intent is to make sure you're balancing the budget and you're weighing all these different priorities. That's the appropriate place for this to happen. We feel very strongly that this is a very good plan. It covers 84%. So most of our hardworking low and middle income families are going to get relief under this plan. But we also know that it's important to low and middle income families that we are investing in their communities and investing in their schools. So it should be part of a conversation about the priorities of the people of this state.
What's the size of the typical tax cut and how does that compare to what the Republican does?
It's about $225 per individual.
And that's for somebody making how much?
That's for your average filer. So most people, if you make 80% or if you make 80,000 or less, you're going to get about a 10% tax cut. We'll have more tables for you all as well that break it down.
Does that estimate include the EITC as part of that, or is
Yes,
that's
I believe so.
but to be clear, the EITC, in the way the sort of tendency of the tax system works, the EITC focuses more on folks at the lower income, working end of things.
them in there for all
I
filers?
believe so.
Yes.
I believe so. Yeah.
You're
Right,
proposing
thanks,
this
everybody.
you're proposing this as a sub, will it be up in Ways and Means? Did you get it in 24 hours before the committee to have that done, or is this an amendment we're going to see on the floor?
It was just that we submitted it, and
Are they gonna take
the
it?
question is, will they take it? I mean,
Right.
I got an email at 4:59 yesterday saying we're going to vote on this tomorrow at 10 a.m.
This sub.
So they would have to know that we would vote on the bill.
On the
So
bill.
It's
I
been
mean,
submitted and they're taking it.
it's been submitted and they're
Okay,
taking it,
great.
which
Okay.
means
And
yes.
That's all we got time for everybody. These guys,
Okay.
you guys